On this exciting mini episode, it's a battle of Duane and Belle. Who you got? It's a special audio edition of my Perry Mason Season 1 Defendants Tournament. Now, on the Perry Pod. Welcome, everyone. I'm your humble host, Jonathan Searcy. Before we move on to Season 4 of Perry Mason, I thought I'd finish out our Season 1 Defendants Tournament. The setup, I put all 40 of Season 1's defendants into a bracket. They're facing off against each other for the crown of Season 1 champion. My criteria, pretty simple. 1, was the defendant memorable? 2, was the defendant the most compelling guest star in the case? 3, did Perry respect the defendant? And number 4, do we have any other history with this actor or actress who portrayed the defendant? You'll see how it works soon enough. I'm not ranking the episodes. My fave Season 1 episode, The Case of the Screaming Woman, but it only has a so-so defendant, Leona Walsh. I don't really care for The Case of the Fiery Fingers, but Nora Mae Quincy made it into the second round. In this mini episode, Duane Jefferson spent time with a certain lady, and now he's on trial for murder, old man. Oh, and by the way, he's not the real Duane Jefferson. Meanwhile, Belle has I Dream of Jeannie's Barbara Eden as a daughter, and Perry in a lodge for the weekend near her joint, so when Playboy and injured water skier Mark Cushing ends up dead, she's got at least 2 things going for her. It's the man who terrified the typist versus the woman who would never be confused with an angry mourner. Let's see who comes out on top. Category 1, was the defendant memorable? Duane Jefferson has the distinguished ersatz Cary Grant look, the clipped defense of his actions.
I was with a certain lady.
And the privilege of taking the stand during Mason's defense of him.
I ask you once again, do you know Patricia Taylor? I am acquainted with Mrs. Taylor. And will you now state that she was the lady in your company on the night of the murder? I've told you repeatedly, Mr. Mason, I was with a certain lady, and that's all there is to say.
Of course, I'm glossing over the biggest evidence in his favor. He's not who he says he is. The jury finds him guilty.
Have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
Will you state it, please?
We, the jury and panel to try the above entitled case, find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree.
Yes, he's memorable. Belle, she's got a beautiful name and a beautiful daughter. She's got the classic Perry's trying to take a vacation, but I'm going to get involved in a murder story.
I know you're here for arrest, Mr. Mason, and I hate to bother you. It's just that we're in such desperate trouble.
I guess. Advantage, I mean really, Duane, by a mile. Category 2, was the defendant the most compelling non-permanent character in the case? Well, in the case of the angry mourner, you've got the titular mourner, Miriam Keats. You've got murderer, Sam Burris. You've got Jeannie as Carla Adrian.
But I still don't see how he did it, Mr. Mason.
And that water-skiing weasel, Mark Cushing. There's no single standout performance. Belle certainly doesn't distinguish herself clearly from the rest of these guest stars. I'd put my money on Carla if I had to. As for the case of the terrified typist, Duane only has one competitor, Patricia Taylor, the titular typist.
But it all started when I was sending packages to Allied prisons in Korea. There was this one man, he was a captain in the South African Air Force. He kept on writing to me.
She's compelling for sure, but Gentleman Duane gives her a run for her money, even if he can't type as fast. Advantage, Duane, of course. Category 3, does Perry respect the defendant? Duane Jefferson, aka James Kincaid, respected? Naturally, he comes up in the denouement as Perry, Della, and Paul make sense of the case.
All that work, and now Judge Hartley orders a new trial.
Oh, he'll still wind up a hero if he doesn't forget to try the phony Duane Jefferson under his right name of James Kincaid.
But as for respect, Paul scoffs at his gallant routine. Perry does too, though oddly, it didn't make him drop Jefferson as a client. Perry can't respect a man who causes him to, at least temporarily, lose a case. Belle manages to pitch her story to Perry in such a way to get him to pause his vacation. And listen to this ringing endorsement Perry gives her in the denouement.
Mr. Mason, were you surprised when you found I didn't do it?
Of course not, Mrs. Adrian. I knew that all along. You just weren't the type.
Advantage? Belle Adrian. Category 4. Finally, do we have a prior history with this actor or actress? Sylvia Field, she only appeared in one episode of the show. Alan Marshall, the same. Advantage, push. Final verdict? Well, the schnook Duane Jefferson, a.k.a. James Kincaid, makes it to the next round. Congratulations, Duane. Your prize is a commuted sentence for your crime. Get that gentleman Jim suit ready for your parole hearing. As for the rest of you, may you keep on walking that Park Avenue beat!